I've gotten one brand deal that pays me more per year than what I could have made with my degree in finance had I actually gotten that. I never made a reel before. I never made a TikTok before. And the first one that I posted ended up getting like 2 million views and added like almost 20,000 followers. I saw these people that were online that were making money. And I was like, I guarantee I work harder than these guys. And I know I'm a smart person. So it seems pretty inevitable. I just got to keep throwing shit at the wall until something sticks.
This is Alex Hayden. He built Closify to 1.5 million a year, then exited at only 22 years old. After that, he had zero clue what to do next, and one viral video changed everything. Now his personal brand makes more than his SaaS ever did. I invited him today to understand how he did it, how he grew an audience to 250,000 followers cross-platform, and makes 5 figures monthly from it. Let's dive in. So Alex, you said having a personal brand has opened more doors for me than a degree ever could.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I think a degree used to be valuable because not everyone had one. Like by nature, something that's valuable is rare, right? Um, and now that basically everyone has the degree, I'm not gonna sit here and be ignorant and say they're not valuable at all. But however, everyone kind of has one now. And on the other side, not everyone has a personal brand. Not everyone has a 250,000 followers across platforms. And so, I've gotten brand deals that pay me more per year, or like one brand deal that pays me more per year than what I could have made with my degree in finance had I actually gotten that. Um, I've had entrepreneurs worth 8 and 9 figures come to me asking to hop on a call because they wanted to talk about how to grow their personal brand. Um, I've gotten opportunities, job opportunities and networking opportunities, all this different type of stuff, things that I never would have gotten in a million years, all because of my personal brand.
That's amazing. That's what I wanted to have you here because I think a lot of people are growing an audience online without thinking about monetization. They don't really know to monetize. They don't really know what to do with all the following they have. And I feel like you nailed it. So I really want to ask you all these questions. But first, you say that you blew up by accident. What happened at the beginning?
Yeah, so my friend Presley asked me to do a podcast and he had like no followers at all. And so like there was honestly no point in me doing it outside of the fact that I just really liked him. And after the podcast, he was just like, "Do you want 3 free clips while you're here?" Because like that's what I do. I do short form content, and I never done short form anymore. I never made a reel before. I never made a TikTok before. Um, and I kind of just made 3 TikTok, or I guess they were reels, off the top of my head really quickly. I didn't put much thought into them. I wasn't like thinking about it. And the first one that I posted ended up getting like 2 million views and added like almost 20,000 followers.
That's crazy. And I feel like it's kind of your signature that you don't take a lot of time to create the content and post it. So
Mhm.
even if it's really fast, can you just tell me how you actually film your content, edit it, and publish it?
Yeah, so I guess I learned this after working with a couple content teams is I don't script out my reels at all. I will just think of what I want the hook to be in my head. And I guess you could say I have a framework for hooks, and it depends if I'm making a top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel video. Um, but I'll think of the hook in my head, and then I just let myself flow. I don't try to hold myself to a script. I don't edit my own videos. I never have. I've either had a team or as of recently, I'm just doing like selfie videos like this with my phone. I'm not doing the whole camera setup and fancy edits right now. But yeah, I was thinking of a hook in my head. So if I'm making a video that I want to go viral, I'll honestly go look at my past videos that have gone viral, and then I'll probably make a variation of that. So if my hook in my first video went viral was Iman Ghazi shut down his agency to go all in on SaaS. That was in 2023. Um, if I were doing this right now, Brez Scales and TGR are basically probably the 2 most viral people right now, right? So maybe I'll make a video like Brez Scales sitting on like a generational bag if he can just do this one thing. and basically explain that he's making a ton of cash flow right now, but he's not building anything that has actual enterprise value yet, and kind of explaining that to them. And that's like an example type of video that I would make right now.
Interesting. So right now, I feel like you're really skilled at that. But I just want to go back from the beginning. Before you actually published the first video, what were you doing, like in your life?
So previously, before I grew the Instagram or the social media following, I had sold my first or majority of my first company, Closify, probably like a week or two before I grew the following. And that's why it was kind of divine timing, because I sold majority of my company with really no plan of what I was going to do next, which is a pretty dumb thing to do. Um, and it just so happened to be that, a week or two later, whatever it was, I grew the following, and then it became very natural of what I was doing next. But yeah, I was running a company called Closify before.
It's pretty funny that you say that because I am in the same situation right now. I just exit, and I had this exact feeling a few days ago that I have actually nothing to do. And that's a really weird feeling. I know that a lot of people envy us, like to exit and just like have a bag of money and being able to do whatever you do. But can you tell me more about that? Like, how did you feel at that point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it felt good. Um, and a little bit strange because that was like the first real business I ever had that went on to make pretty good money. So the idea to like not be working on it anymore was, a little bit strange. Um, and honestly, I would say there was also, and I guess it wasn't a very long period of time because, like I said, I grew the following pretty shortly after. But to your point, it was a very strange and like I guess like almost low feeling, just because it was almost like your purpose was like building that company, and so then when you exit majority of it, it was kind of just this whole like now what type of thing. So obviously I was 22 at the time. So it's like you're not gonna retire. You know what I mean? Even if you have enough money to retire, you're not gonna retire at that point. Like you need something to build and work towards. So yeah, it was honestly just like a very strange feeling.
So, well, we'll go back to Closify later. I just want to go back first to the content creation. So, you post the first video, you blow up 2 million view, then you kind of nailed the content creation process. So, every video you do works pretty well. And you say that a lot of big brands were DMing you or contacting you to actually do partnership. How did it work?
Yeah, I mean they were all inbound. So they would either DM my account and they would be in like, my requests. But I would say probably most of them would be in one of my emails, and it's interesting how, they're scraping your profile or your info online. So, I've got a couple emails, so I would be checking basically all of them, and they would be emailing one of say 4 emails offering brand deals. And, yeah, so between just, like, keeping an eye on my email inboxes and my requests, like, people they would I never did any outbound to get a brand deal, they would always reach out to me.
And what kind of deal is it? Like usually when a brand, like whatever brand contacts you, like what kind of deal do you get as a content creator on short
Yeah.
form?
Yeah, so I had I mean, I still do have a YouTube channel as well that, does pretty well. Um, Usually, I would say a lot of them were more interested in YouTube, especially about actually, that's not even true. But, YouTube, obviously, you get a way higher rate per video. Like, I would pretty routinely get, like, 4 to 5K per video. On the short form side, I really never took any one-off like, real, sponsorships, because to me, that was, like I didn't wanna do something one-off for, like, $1,000, which is, like, what I would usually charge. And so, I would always try to get them to commit to, like I haven't done many sponsorships on my reels at all, to be honest with you. It would be like, "Hey, if you guys wanna do, like, 4 reels a month, 5 reels a month for, you know, uh, 4,000 a month, like, I'll do that." Um, And then I did have one deal that was a very interesting one that was I had to make one video a day and just give it to them, but it wasn't being posted on my account.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, so they were using it on a different account that they owned, and that was a pretty interesting deal.
Yeah, it is. And my question is, why do you think brand came to you? Because it's not often that even if you have a big following, it's not often that brands comes to you and propose you like a lot of brand deals. So why do you think they came to you?
I mean, one, I'm in a very good space to monetize. Like these tech companies have more money than they know what to do with. So, and also I would say a lot of these tech companies struggle. Like some of them are incredible products, and they struggle the most on the marketing front. So, you know, they're dying for distribution, and they're willing to spend basically any amount of money to get it. So I think I was just very well positioned. And on the flip side, it's like, my videos are very like how to and informational. So it's very easy for me to naturally integrate their products into my videos without it seeming super salesy.
Hmm. Yeah, I see. And you've been doing that for a while. I feel like you didn't stop, but you slowed down, right? Right? Content
Mhm.
creation.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Um, Not necessarily any one reason that I can point to. I would say mainly, um, I don't ever like to force myself into doing things. I like to make content. It's not something that I dislike, but it's one of those things where it's like when I feel like it. So if I'm feeling good and if I'm feeling creative, I might be like, you know what, like let me knock out a lot of content right now, and I'll do it. If I'm just like not feeling creative and it's just like not something that I feel like I want to do at the moment. At this point, I mean, in the past, I'd force myself to do it. But at this point, I'm not gonna sit down and force myself to make content if I don't feel like doing it really. Especially if I feel like, and I would say this is probably the bigger reason, especially if I feel like I'm half-assing it and I'm posting content just to post content. If I post content, I want it to be very valuable. Like I want to be proud of the content that I post. Like I want people. My goal has always been with my content that people can watch my reels or my YouTube videos and they can actually finish the video, take something from it, and go implement it. And so if I'm making videos that are just half-assed and not really doing anyone any service, then there's no point.
I feel like I'm targeted because I've been posting every day for the past 80 days today. And
Mhm.
I feel like the creativity is pretty hard to keep when you're posting every day because you kind of force yourself some days. And
Yeah.
I am on your side on that. That I feel like you should take a step back sometimes, and it's also really personal, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be 100% yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I probably posted one or two reels a day every single day from March of 2023 till, you know, end of 2024, um, even, into 2025. So it was like, a year and a half, almost 2 years of probably posting almost every day. I'm sure there were a few exceptions of days that I missed, but it was like I put out a lot of content. You know what I mean?
How did you stay consistent? Like, what was your motivation about? Of course, you were getting paid, but like, what was the motivation every day, or like the process that kept you going for so long?
It's actually pretty easy. I would always content batch. So especially when I worked with a team, I would probably only shoot twice a month, and each time I would do 14 to like 28 reels that I could repost as TikToks, and then two YouTube videos. So it would actually probably scripting two YouTube videos would probably take me, call it, an hour each, so like 2 hours there. The reels I don't script probably literally probably takes me 30 minutes. So it would honestly probably take me like 5 or so hours a month, honestly, to post all that over that time period. I was really fast with it.
If you want to start publishing short form video, I created a 30-day challenge for free. This one is inspired by all the guests I got so far. In this one, you will learn how to get ideas, how to write script, how to record, how to publish, and how to get viral. You can access to it for free by clicking on the link in the description. So for you, the process is the most important. Like if you have like a certain process, like batch everything in one day, your 28 video, it kept you going.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would usually I would have one day. Usually it was like I would usually do it on Sundays just because I enjoy writing. I would usually script all my stuff on Sundays, then I would just record someday in the middle of the week, whether it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You talked about the few influencers that are popping right now, and you say that you would take their hook or see what they do. What would you say to someone now who is starting on short form video and want to just start an account? Like, how does he get ideas, for example?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that the audience that you want to have, they already exist on the platform. You're not bringing new people to a platform, and so they already exist on the platform, and so they're already following someone. And so it's who are they following now? And you probably have a pretty good idea of this. It's if you're in the make money online space, it's they probably are following Brez and TJR and Jordan Welch and Iman Ghazi and whoever else is maybe kind of hot right now. And you kind of can steal people's followers. And not steal, I don't want it to sound like it has a negative connotation, but you know, if you say Iman Ghazi shut down his agency to go on a SaaS, the moment you say Iman Ghazi, you're grabbing the attention of everyone that knows who Iman Ghazi is, which is a lot of people. If you say Brez scales right now, you're grabbing the attention of everyone that knows who Brez is, which is a lot of people. And so, people that follow Brez, they think that freelance brand scaling is the best way to make money online. Basically start an agency because they follow Brez right now. If you make a hook that says, Brez Scales is sitting on a 9-figure bag because he's not doing this one thing, or is sitting on a 9-figure bag if he does this one thing, you hook them in with Brez's name. Now the people that know Brez are watching, and you explain, he's making all this money from his info product, but eventually that may fizzle out, and it's not a business that he can go and sell. So what he could do instead is he could build a software company that goes into that helps them with carrying out the information that he teaches them. And, one day if he gets that to $1 million a year, he could have a $10 million exit, or, you can play around with the numbers. But so then all of a sudden his audience is going to be watching that and they're okay, this guy actually makes a good point. Let me actually give this guy a follow. And that's kind of how it works. And that's kind of how I believe I gained a following, because I did it with Iman, and people were this guy actually makes a pretty good point. These people are preaching all these other business models, but they are all secretly running a software company in the background. That guy pointed it out to me. I'm gonna give him a follow.
So you targeting the make money audience, even if you were more tech in a way, like using no code, but the no code was also to make money, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that was also just an example. Name dropping videos do work pretty well, but there's other ways to do it. It's just at the first, all your videos have to be awareness. They have to be top of funnel. And so when I was starting, I was talking about no code software. In 2023, who knew what no code software was? No one, literally no one. And so I would also make videos that are hey, have you ever built a website before? Grabbing the attention of people that built a website before. I was you know how you build websites because you drag and drop these pieces together? Well, you can actually build software in the same way now. And that kind of makes it click for them using that analogy. I think Hormozy does a really good job of using analogies pretty often. And that's what it's able to dumb it down for the masses to understand it.
Yes, true. It's pretty good at that. And for you, you actually learn by just checking the content of other people. You didn't learn properly to be a copywriter or learn to write a script.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I never even studied anyone else's content, nothing like that. I think it came pretty naturally because the first platform I ever had and grew on was Twitter, or X. And growing on Twitter used to be way harder than it is now because now they have like the For You page and the algorithm's a little bit more like these short form platforms now, where you can not have a lot of followers and your tweet can go well or go viral. In the past, there was no For You. It was just like the only people that will see your tweets are the people that follow you. And so if you're starting from day one, no one follows you. And so you were just tweeting into the abyss. Um, and you basically had to be like a reply guy to go get your first, call it 500, 1,000 followers. You had to just go respond on your people's tweets. And then eventually you had to start growing by threads and posting valuable threads. And it's like, okay, in that first tweet in your thread, you have 240 characters to get people to care enough to keep reading and get them hooked in. And you got to make them care with your words. There's no fancy thumbnail. There's no rage bait title. There's no fancy edits you can do. And so I got really good at copywriting through that. And I think that's why when I transitioned into video, it was very interesting because in my eyes, a reel is basically a thread that I'm just now saying out loud on camera.
Yeah, it is. And you're right that it was way more complicated before. I remember the first 0 to 500 followers was the hardest ever because no one was seeing you and you had to be this reply guy. Now you're working at Whop. You're pretty big about clipping. Can you talk more about that? And yeah, just about clipping first.
It's not something that I'm like an expert in by any means, and not something that I do. I do think it's super lucrative. I mean, it's basically, I think everyone at this point kind of knows what it is. It's basically you're paying people a set amount per 1,000 views to clip up your content of the past, whether it's podcasts, whether it's your YouTube videos, um, whether it's like, you know, lifestyle B-roll and edits of that. And you just get an army of people to clip it up and to basically help drive your awareness. Um, it doesn't work for everyone. Like, it wouldn't work for me, for example, because all I do is sit in front of a camera and talk about software. There's nothing flashy or nothing like clippable uh for me to like where it would make sense for me to go and hire people. It's good for the people that do want to show flashy stuff, or maybe they're, controversial and they have, controversial podcast clips or whatever. Um, but it's definitely like an arbitrage opportunity. I think it's coming a little bit to a close, but it's definitely been an arbitrage opportunity if it's the cheapest views that you can get by a mile.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. That is definitely not for everyone. Like if you just post a video of yourself, like clipping is pretty hard, so you will not use that for monetization. You talked about brand partnership. Like, what would you say to someone like who start right now and not start right now, but have a following? How can he monetize his account the best way possible? Because you used to make 5-figure amounts, right? Just with partnership with your account.
Yeah, I did really well just from brand deals, but again, I was in an interesting position or place just because it's in the tech niche and these tech companies have so much money. Um, it's a lot harder to monetize in other niches where the companies don't have as much money. I mean, obviously, this will like probably always be true for the near future. Is the easiest way to monetize your audience is with some sort of like info offer, usually in terms of like the quickest and the most cash flow. Um, I run a development agency, so like that's pretty cool because it's pretty high ticket. So, I can only take on 2 to 3 deals a month and still do pretty well. Um, there's also like a lot of like creative ways that you can monetize your audience. Like you could just literally do straight up affiliate marketing. You can make all your information free and just affiliate for all the tools that they need. You could affiliate for, the payment processor and you could send people to Whop and you can make really good money that way. I mean, I was an affiliate for a while before I ever worked here and I made really, really good money doing that. I can affiliate for these text app tools now and make money that way. I affiliate for a Beehive, the tool that I use to send my newsletters. Um, you can affiliate for Go High Level, for ClickFunnels, like all these companies that have really competitive affiliate programs. And you could just make all of your information free and just send these companies a ton of traffic and make pretty good money doing that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people talk about affiliate, while it's, as you say, really lucrative. Like Go High Level are pretty high in commission. All these
Mhm.
SaaS like this tool are pretty high. And you also have a newsletter with quite a lot of people in it, right? 40,000.
Yeah, it's just shy of 40,000.
Can you just explain how did you get these people in your newsletter? Because I was interviewing people who have like 300,000 followers and they have like 400 person in their newsletter, and I feel it
Yeah.
can be really interesting to.
So honestly, it's kind of funny. When I was first blowing up on Instagram, like there were days where I would wake up, like I would go to bed and I would wake up with like almost 10,000 new followers. Like it was crazy. Um, and when that was at first happening, I was like, oh my gosh, I had like no call to action at all, no offer. Because I just exited majority of my company, so I had no offer, nothing. Um, and I was like, oh my God, I mean, all this traffic with no place to send them. Like, this is bad. I was like, screw it. I'm gonna whip up a newsletter. Went to Beehive, you know, took the link, tossed in my bio, made my bio something like, I'm gonna send free tips on how to start a software company. And I was just adding like over 1,000 people a day. And that's really it. It was almost, now there's probably a decent chunk for my YouTube, but like at that time it went from like I remember it went from 0 to 20,000 subscribers very, very quickly.
That's insane. That's really a lot. And how do you monetize this newsletter?
Affiliate, dev agency, those are really the two things. Um, Either affiliating for tools that they might need to use to carry out what they want to do, or if they want to build a software company, they can use my development agency.
If someone is watching and want to monetize his account, he should also get the leads and monetize them behind, because I feel like on short form it's pretty easy to get attention, but it's pretty hard to convert in like a customer or in affiliate because you can't add a link straight away on the video. You can
Right.
bring people through automation. Did you do that?
Yeah, I use ManyChat.
Yeah. So that's one way to do, but in email, you made the most money there with affiliates?
I mean, I've probably made the most in affiliate income from my YouTube because again, YouTube's obviously like a
Yeah, true.
long form how-to tutorial, and if you just plop the links in the description of like, yo, here's the tools I use, it works pretty well. Um, I definitely made a lot of money from my newsletter, from my dev agency. They were obviously very warmed up, of like they're very familiar with me. I've sent a lot of emails on like my strategies for building companies, and then there was like one email particularly that I would probably do once a month, that would always crush. Is like a lot of people's like biggest bottleneck is they can't come up with software ideas. Um, and I think it's actually very easy to get ideas because you just gotta find what's working really well and build a similar variation to it. So every month I would send out an email that was like, here's 3 to 5 software ideas for you to run with. And I would list them out, like the idea. I would say like why I picked that idea, how I would take it to go to market, how complicated it probably is to build. And then I'll basically just have a call to action at the end of like, yo, if you like any of these ideas and you want my team to build it for you, book a call here. And every single time I would do that email, it would just book calls like crazy. And then they were pretty easy to close.
I wanted to go back to something like when I ask people what I should ask you as a question, a lot of people talk about your exit with Closify. Um, can you just maybe go back to that and how you built Closify and you exited?
Yeah, so it was my first ever company that like did pretty well. And it grew entirely from outbound sales and SEO. So, I started off in sales and that's, what I was really comfortable with and still am. And so it started off of me just hustling with outbound Twitter DMs to grow it and being in like Facebook groups and stuff like that. Um, and then, eventually we started up some cold email campaigns. Cold email came, started to bring in some clients. And then we hired, our first SDR for LinkedIn. They started booking meetings from LinkedIn, layered in cold calling. And then once we started making, 20, 30K a month, we hired an SEO agency. Took probably 3 or 4 months for us to actually start to see like ROI from that. But then, like, to this day, if you search higher commission only sales reps were the number one organic result. SEO started bringing in clients, and then we started just scaling the SDR team. Like, scaling is a very simple process once you like crack each acquisition channel, because once we figured out how to book calls on LinkedIn, it was like you just add more people to do outreach on LinkedIn. Once you figure out cold calling, you add more people to cold call. Once you crack cold email, you just ramp up how many emails you're sending per month. So it got very straightforward. And then, at our peak, we were booking over 200 sales calls per month. Had 2 closers, probably had 5 SDRs, a sales manager. And it was kind of just it was a machine that was running.
And when you exit, like, how did it work actually? Did someone come to you? Did you want to sell a share of the company?
So yeah, so I originally had listed it on Acquire, and I also got, honestly, I got a lot of inbound offers through my email, but a lot of them were private equity, and the terms were extremely unfavorable. Like, the dollar amount looked good, but the actual terms, and this is like, I guess this is a good lesson for anyone that's watching, is like, you like, the best offer is never the, or I shouldn't say never, is rarely the one that's just like the most money offered up front. Um, there's often a lot of strings attached to it. And it's like, people might be like, it's a really good deal. And then you see there's like a 2-year earnout. And then, if you do even a little bit of research, you'll realize most people never receive their earnout money, because, the milestones are usually pretty crazy, or sometimes the terms can just be like extremely predatory. And also, I didn't want to sell 100% because I knew it was a company that I believed in and I still wanted to be a part of. Just wasn't one that I wanted to be the captain of the ship anymore. And so I was on Acquired and I was getting a bunch of offers, and I was having LOIs sent to me, but they just weren't ones that either I wanted to sign or my lawyer consulted me to sign. And then I was like, I'm gonna go strategic, and then I reached out to my friend Luke, and it was much more strategic. And one of our bottlenecks was actually we didn't have enough, like, we weren't replacing sales reps as fast as they were getting hired out, so that was one of our bottlenecks. And we were able to come to a deal. It was, favorable for both of us. It was way faster. And basically I was able to retain some ownership. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good piece of advice for anyone that's like, you basically, if you can go the private equity route, but I would say reach out to strategic buyers as well.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I think selling a business is like more complicated than you think. I feel like a lot of people think that exit is like one button, parachute, and you're
Yeah.
fine. But that's a long, long process usually, and there's a lot of tricky things to think about. So yeah, just be careful
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Um, you exit. Why didn't you build something new straight away?
Um, I mean, I didn't know what to build is like the easy answer, but again, I ended up blowing up a week or two later, and then I built a dev agency and had the brand deals, and that's what I did for the next year and a half. Really, is it was just heavy cash flow businesses and brand deals for a year and a half, just built off the back of my brand.
I'm asking you this question because I heard that a lot, like, I would not say any person, but like a lot of people who exit and start a company straight away after, usually they fail. So I think that was maybe a strategic thing from you, but no, you just wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't strategic. I just didn't know what I was gonna do next. I think there was definitely like an element of luck involved, just like it was just really divine timing of how it all played itself out.
And this one is a really personal question, but what would you suggest to a person like me in between?
I would say probably don't force yourself into anything. Like, I think there's probably been a few times where I've tried to force myself into starting something new just to like have a new company or just to do something. And I do think, especially like once you have a little bit of money and you kind of have the freedom to pick and choose what you want to do, like I think your first company, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. Like you just have to make money, right? Like you have to change the situation that you're in, whether it's, for me, it was getting out of college, whether it's leaving the job, whether it's, you know, just improving your lifestyle. Like your first company, I think kind of doesn't matter if you inherently liked it or not. Like you just have to make money. Um, like I was never passionate about hiring salespeople. You know what I mean? That's not something that is all that interesting to me, but it was a good company and it made money. And I think that like you have to just make money when you're starting. It doesn't matter if you really like it. After you make a little bit of money and you can breathe, I think, I was burned out at the end of close. I think the next thing you have to like it in some capacity. Um, I think it's very difficult because, I think in pretty long time horizons and we're both young and have decades more in business. And I don't see a world where I end up being way, way more successful than I am right now if I just keep doing a bunch of stuff I don't like.
And how do you know what you like?
Um, I mean, I think for me, it's like I just innately know what I'm interested in. I've kind of experienced it, and it's like, even like I've even looked into building companies and things that I'm like directly passionate about. I love tennis and running. Like, I'm always saying like, is there anything I can build there that makes sense? But um, I really like building content, or I really like making content. So it's like, what companies can I build in the content space? Um, you might have to try a few things and, figure it out. But I think when you start something, you kind of know.
Yeah, no, no, I totally agree. I feel like content for me is really the thing as well. And it's it's funny because I thought also about um, doing an agency because for me it's not easy money, but I think you know what I mean with that is that you don't have to build a product; it's only a service. How did you
Mhm.
do that actually?
Build the agency.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy, to be honest with you, because all I had to do was go and find a developer, realistically for the fulfillment, because it was like the leads were infinite from my social media. Um, I would do the sales calls, and then once we closed someone, we just set up a Slack channel. Developer would update them weekly. I was in there if they needed to ping me, and that was really it. It was pretty easily run.
Hmm. Okay. And now you're working for a company.
Mhm.
How does that feel?
I like it, and I think, it's the only company I ever would work for. It's kind of an anomaly of a company. Everyone in the company is basically 20 to 26, and they're all like me. A lot of us slash almost all of us ran our own businesses before, so it's also the first time I've ever worked in an office with people. I'm used to the last 5 years, 6 years almost even. I basically When I work, I just go to like a coffee shop or sit in my apartment and just headphones in, work for 5 hours. And, that's fairly boring. When you are just isolated every single day for 5 years straight. And obviously after that, I would go hang out with people, see my friends, go play pickleball, run. Like I still lived a very good lifestyle, but um now I'm in an office with a bunch of people that I like, and I talk to them all day, and it's kind of refreshing to just be surrounded by people all day, every single day. I've never experienced it before, um, and so I've made a lot of new friends, and they're all incredibly smart and incredibly hardworking. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
That's what I wanted to say. You're not in any company. You're in a company that probably hired really talented young people. So it's probably really interesting for you,
Yeah,
well, for your network, but also, yeah, being surrounded by these guys.
yeah,
Do you learn a lot at Whop?
yeah. I mean, that was even part of it was dropping my ego and learning. Like Sure, I've built a couple companies that do a million, 1.5 million a year. That's baby numbers. You know what I mean? Um, and so I was like, hey, like, let me go treat this as my college education that I never got, and let me go learn from these guys.
Yeah, I think again, it's funny because a lot of people who exit kind of are attracted to that. And I think, as you say, it's like a good school to also maybe sit and take the time to see what's next. But yeah, I think it was a pretty smart choice from you. And
Yeah.
another question about that, like, how did you end up working there actually?
So I was actually running an app that was the same as basically the content awards that they have. It was actually like in the clipping space. It was called Paid, and they were basically like, "Yo, you should come build that here," basically.
I heard something that you say in another podcast, and I really want you to develop that because I love it. It's a really long sentence, but I will read it. I really want everyone to experience the life that I live. You have no idea how good it feels when money doesn't even enter your mind. Once you get at that certain level, it almost just seems like everything is free. You kind of just go places, tap your card, and it just seems free. Tell me more about that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first time it was really like that was in 2023 because I just exited, and then like literally 3 months after that, I had, obviously when you exit, your cash flow basically goes to zero, and then literally just 3 months later, I had way more monthly cash flow than I did personally after from when I was running Closify even. So it was a pretty big, I guess, income jump you could say, and I got a nicer apartment that wasn't super crazy, but like it was a nice apartment, and all of a sudden now I'm basically going out to dinner exclusively, basically. Probably wasn't really cooking at all anymore. I was basically either door dashing or going out to eat every single night. Um, Going to lounges all the time, cigar lounges, hookah lounges. Um, and I mean, literally, it really, doesn't cross your mind wherever you go. It's just like you're tapping your phone on the reader, and it, obviously, like, luckily for like, I never lived that crazily, and I still never do, just because I'm not like, I mean, it's when I say not that crazily, I probably spent $8,000 to $10,000 a month, and that's a lot of money to spend, but it can get a lot crazier very quickly living in Miami. Um, but I think spending $8,000 a month, like, you're living an incredible life. You have a nice apartment, nice car, you're eating out every meal, and you're going out and having fun. Maybe you're doing a little bit of shopping. And when you can just like do all that and like you literally don't even think about it, like it's a pretty insane life to live when you're I guess I was 22 at the time.
And how was Alex before Closify? When you started online, did you have this life?
Yeah. How was I before Closify?
Yeah.
I was a Division 1 tennis player, and I was an absolute workhorse. My days would go from 5 a.m. to midnight, basically every single day for a year and a half. I'd have practice 6 to 8, classes 9 to 1, and then I'd have like the tiniest break to get lunch, and then I would have weights from 2 to 3:30. After weights would be like, okay, like I would honestly usually take a nap because I'd be so exhausted because I'm not a morning person, so waking up at 5 really messed me up. But then it'd be like get dinner, and then like basically a mix. The rest of the night was a mix of homework, reading. I would take sales calls, any 30-minute gap I could find because I was like an online salesperson at the time. So I'd be taking sales calls like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. on a Friday night, and then binging YouTube videos and reading and learning and taking online courses. And I'd finish that up around midnight, and I would wake it up and do it again. I was just working a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the hardest working period of my life that I had, and it was pretty fun.
And did you know at that time that you will end up like that? Like, having this kind of freedom and not even
Yeah,
thinking of money?
I definitely always did know. I mean, I always knew, and maybe it's a little bit of ego and cockiness. I think a little bit of ego and cockiness is okay. Um, but kind of like what I was just saying is like I saw these people that were online that were making money, and I was like, I guarantee I work harder than these guys, and I know I'm a smart person, so it seems pretty inevitable. I just gotta keep throwing shit at the wall until something sticks.
Well, if you're watching that now, Alex is saying that it's possible. So if you're like Alex, like he was before, just go for it then.
I think anyone watching this can do what I've done and probably more. So, just keep going and, know that I'm rooting for you.
Well, thank you very much for that. I hope you the best in Whop and to your next adventure. And I will see you soon.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. Likewise.
Every single week, I interview a content creator that went from 0 to hundreds of thousands of followers. If you want to watch the previous one, you can click here. And if you want to watch the next one, subscribe to the channel and I will see you next week.